Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished human rights defenders, civil society leaders, and members of the international community. Less than a year ago, I was just another Venezuelan citizen holding on to the hope of seeing my country regain democracy. Today, I stand before you as an elected president of Venezuela, chosen by overwhelming majority of Venezuelan people on July 28. And yet, I am prevented from carrying out the mandate entrusted to me. My story is neither the only one nor the most important. I stand here representing millions of Venezuelans who have endured persecution, exile, and repression, holding on to the hope of regaining their country. On July 28, the Venezuelan people spoke decisively at the polls. There is no doubt about the popular mandate. Despite censorship, intimidation, violence against the opposition, and attempts to prevent citizens from voting, the desire of change was expressed with an undeniable force. The regime response was a repression, persecution, and a coup against the will of the people. Since election day, more than 2,000 people have been arbitrarily detained, including children, teenagers, human rights defenders, journalists, and political activists. Many have been forcibly disappeared for days or weeks, denied access to their family and lawyers, an attempt by the regime to break their spirit and spread terror among the population. The independent international fact-finding mission has documented crimes against humanity in Venezuela, including systematic torture, arbitrary detention, and extrajudicial executions. Over the past year, repression has only escalated. As the elected president, I am now in exile because of the regime ordered my arrest and militarized the country to prevent my return. Since January 10th, Maduro has solidified his coup, usurping power that does not belong to him and intensifying repression to maintain control. Each case of arbitrary detention deeply affects us, but one in particular has struck my family directly. The forced disappearance of my son-in-law, Rafael Tudares. This is an act of repression, persecution, and intimidation that reflect the impunity with which the regimes operate. Since his detention, there has been no official information about his whereabouts or his health. This is not an isolated case. I know that what my family is experiencing is shared by thousands of other families, but I share my story firsthand as a direct witness to the daily suffering of my daughter, Mariana, and my 7 and 8 years old grandchildren. Every day, my daughter goes from the detention center to another, from one tortured facility to the next, searching for her husband. She has been deceived, humiliated, and mocked. Her search turned into a way, what they call soft torture, a method that leaves no physical marks, but slowly wears down a family daily life. My son-in-law case is just one of that what's happening in Venezuela daily. Thousands of Venezuelan mothers, fathers, children, and spouses, and I thousands because while some are released more than arrested the same day. The same is true for Rocio San Miguel, Enrique Márquez, Biagio Pilieri, Freddy Superlano, Américo de Gracia, Jesus Armas, and many others. All of them are victims of a systematic pattern of persecution against human rights defenders, journalists, and activists, well documented in reports by multiple human rights organizations. Today, I want to highlight the situation of those seeking refuge in the Argentine embassy in Caracas. A group of my direct team, along with Maria Corina Machado and myself, sought protection in that diplomatic mission. While there were faces constant harassment by state forces, has been cut from basic services, even denied access to food. This siege is a blatant violation of fundamental principles of international law and the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. To all the countries represented at these summits, to those who today raise their voice against oppression in Iran, Sudan, Saudi Arabia, Russia, Afghanistan, and so many other nations where justice remains a constant battle, your resistance is also our resistance. We share the pain of those who suffer persecution, but we also share the conviction that justice and truth must prevail. History has shown that challenge is inevitable when peoples rise with courage and determination. The history of my country is one of resistance, but also of hope. We are a people who, despite oppression, have never stopped fighting for freedom and democracy and human rights. Today, more than ever, Venezuelans are given a clear mandate. We want change, we want democracy, and we want to reclaim our freedom. Change will come, justice will come, and we will not rest until we achieve it. Thank you very much.